Is up, y'all? And welcome back to episode 27 of That's No Moon Pod. If you tuned in to last week's episode, not including the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 review I had posted on Sunday, I'm talking episode 25, where I discussed a particular incident where Logan Paul tracked down a gentleman by the name of Chuck Clark, who supposedly has footage of a UFO being filmed in 1995 of a couple of friends who were traveling along the Area 51 desert site area where a golden orangish disc shaped craft hovers above their truck and is floating where they could pretty much throw a rock at it. That's how close it is above them. And they say that on this video as well, the craft is kind of just hovering in the air, moving in strange ways that doesn't make any sense. And then supposedly the video kind of cuts out after one of the guys in the video says something about the batteries or something. But that's pretty much the gist of the video, demonstrating a incident of some friends who stumble upon, or perhaps the UFO stumbled upon them and kind of just showed off its abilities to these guys in 1995. But Logan Paul met with the guy who owns the tape, Chuck Clark. He's not one of the guys who filmed it or was one of the friends during the event. He's just the guy that got the VHS tape handed off to him. And he's been the guy that's pretty much just had this video to himself. Logan Paul said this guy lives in a shack in the middle of nowhere. And if you haven't been following this particular story too closely, Logan Paul today on his podcast Impulsive kind of clears up some details on what exactly happened with him and him tracking this guy down and whatnot. So if you want to hear pretty much everything I'm going to tell you in this episode, definitely go check out Logan Paul's podcast, Impulsive, the latest episode, and he kind of breaks it down even more. But there's some extra news going on with this guy who Logan Paul met up with, which I'll get into later as well. But I kind of just want to get into this whole Logan Paul thing and his take on this video because, like I said, he tracks down this guy, Chuck Clark, who lives in the middle of nowhere, supposedly, and offers him $100,000 cash for this video. And last week, I wasn't sure whether or not at the time if Logan Paul had offered him $100,000 cash for the video before he had seen it or after he had seen it. But he confirmed in his podcast that he offered this guy $100,000 cash after he had shown Logan Paul this video. So obviously the video itself was compelling enough for him to not only offer this guy this money, but to actually go through with this whole crazy, wild goose chase of a plan to hunt this guy down just for this VHS tape. But the guy doesn't give it to him for whatever reason. If I'm this guy, Chuck Clark, and I'm living in the middle of nowhere in a little shack somewhere, just holding this random old dusty VHS tape with a UFO and some crazy white boy offers me $100,000 cash for a VHS tape that's older than me. Tape's almost 30 years old, and you get offered $100,000 cash for this said video. Why don't you give it to him? If you're living in a shack somewhere, that's life changing money for most people in this world. So, what does Logan Paul do? He secretly records this video after he gets this guy to show him. So, it didn't really even matter in the first place because at the end of the day, Logan Paul even says it to where it's not this guy's footage. Someone else gave him this VHS tape to hold on to. So it's not like, from Logan Paul's point of view, he's not doing anything wrong, right? And I can't blame him because I'm pretty sure he figured, all right, if this footage that this guy shows me is legit, or I feel like it's legit in the moment, I'll offer him this amount of money because in this specific community of the UFO community, um, nothing has ever been proven fully, 100%, right? So for someone to offer anyone that much money for old footage of UFO flying around, like how often is that going to come up? Because like I said, nothing is fully provable in this certain topic. So for this guy not to willingly take the money, get out of his shack, and live a better life, why does he want to hold on to this tape? I mean, does he really have that much loyalty to whoever gave him the tape to where he'll, go to the grave with it? Well, I guess not, because like I said earlier, there was some more information about this guy, Chuck Clark, who Logan Paul paid a visit to. Supposedly, this guy, now that this whole story has kind of blown up from James Fox telling it on JRE, and then pretty much the whole story gained a lot of traction from there. And then now Logan Paul came out today on his podcast pretty much saying the whole story. And now this guy, Chuck Clark, got interviewed by someone. And I don't know for what reason this dude is taking interviews now. But I could kind of tell you what this guy said because it really doesn't make any sense to where this guy, Chuck Clark, and the whole situation with him and Logan Paul, because obviously he's pissed. Logan Paul just goes in there and secretly records his video that he offered to show him. So he probably feels a bit betrayed because he might have felt maybe, why not? This guy found me out here. I'll at least show you the footage, but that's it. I don't care about your money. And now Logan Paul has this footage, maybe not the best quality. I don't know what he used exactly to record this, but this is what Chuck Clark says about Logan Paul recording his footage secretly, and what exactly is he doing with the tapes now. And we'll find out right now what he's done after all this has gone down. But this dude, Chuck Clark, is getting interviewed by somebody, um, and he gets asked if he'll ever decide to put the footage out himself instead of Logan Paul, or if the footage is just gonna pretty much just die with this guy. And he says, "Well, to tell you the truth, the video is not in my possession any longer." So this guy, Chuck Clark, the guy who has this footage, or at least had it, no longer is in possession of this said VHS tape. So this guy asks, um, he starts asking questions about Logan Paul. Um, then he asks him about the whole him recording it secretly, and Chuck Clark says if he has a poor cell phone copy of it that is pirated, he'll wind up in court, and a lot poorer um, if it is actually come to fruition that he has said footage of this secret recording of it. So this guy is willing to sue Logan Paul, of course, which you would pretty much see coming. Um, that's probably what he figured, anyways. Maybe he, I don't know, figured there'd be some kind of way to get more money out of it at the end, by suing Logan Paul, which, um, I'm not sure. I'm pretty sure Logan Paul has a lot better lawyers, obviously, with the money he's got, and he could get himself out of sticky situations like this a lot easily, um, compared to what this guy, his living situation is apparently. Um, but getting back to the interview, they ask him, Chuck Clark, if he just gave away the footage or what exactly happened. And he says, "I didn't give it away. I just said it's no longer in my possession." And then he gets asked, "So you didn't willingly hand it over?" And Chuck Clark says, "No. Well, I didn't hand it over to anybody." And then they ask, "So you didn't willingly give it or hand it to somebody for safekeeping, for example?" So they're pretty much asking him if he willingly gave it to someone for safekeeping. And then he says no. And then they ask him again, "So was it taken from you?" And then Chuck Clark says, "I don't want to go into its location." And then they ask, "Do you know where it is?" And he says, "Yes." Then they ask, "What is your intention to not have it in your possession?" And then he just says, "Yes." So it was his intention to not have it in his possession. So he didn't want to have the tape anymore. He just wanted to get rid of it for some reason. But they ask him, but you didn't give it away. And he says, "I didn't give it away. That's as close as you're going to get." And then they ask him one more thing, and they said, "Is there anything you could tell me just to give me some understanding of how it got to where it is without giving, um, or without giving information or saying where it is?" And then Chuck Clark says, "I facilitated it going to its present location." What the fuck, dude? What is this dude talking about? What is going on here? This is the weirdest story I've heard in a hot second. So now this whole thing kind of takes a whole different turn now because who did he give this footage to? And if he didn't give it away, he's contradicting himself throughout this whole thing because I don't know if anyone can understand exactly what he's trying to say here by saying that he didn't give it away, but he facilitated it going to its present location. So wherever it is, he intended it on being there, and he's sounding like he's pretty sure of himself and not like it's somewhere where he doesn't want it to be. He doesn't want to talk about its location, obviously, but he does know where it is. What's going on here? I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think because as soon as I saw this, I saw Logan Paul's kind of response to the whole situation from his podcast clips. And then I saw this interview with Chuck Clark, him telling this person that he don't got the tape no more. So who do y'all think has it? Where do y'all think it is? You think it's back with the original people who filmed it for safekeeping? Maybe they're, 1995. I'm sure they're still around. Just older guys now, and maybe they just want to hold on to it forever and kind of just die with it themselves. And Chuck Clark held on to it as long as he could, almost 30 years, and maybe now is gone forever. Maybe some government agency has it. Maybe, I don't know, maybe he sold it to someone who offered more money. Who knows? Because in the video, from what Logan Paul says, that from what he says, he's pretty much just waiting for the right moment to release this footage because he doesn't know whether or not it's 100% legit. And Logan Paul himself says that the footage is compelling but not convincing. This is exactly what he says from his pod. I'll read you what he says. Logan Paul says this VHS tape that the footage is compelling, not convincing, because it's from 1995. The tape had been worn down, it's been played probably over 100 times, and so the quality is not so great. And everything about it screams BS, which is the true reason I haven't released it. It's not enough it doesn't have it's not that it doesn't have enough meat on the bone or proof for me to put it out confidently and be like, this is legit UFO footage. So he's saying it doesn't have enough meat on the bone or proof for me to put it out confidently. But he does say that there's one thing interesting about the footage in particular, about its validity. He says when you scrub through the footage forward and back, like you take your little slider and you scrub through the footage, the disc hovers so fluidly, it's like buoyant almost in the air. So he's kind of saying, that's how I was kind of trying to describe it, to where it's not just necessarily hovering in place, it's kind of like it's floating a little bit, like in the waves where you're just kind of just like you're just on a wave, pretty much. Um, and then let me try to find back where he says, yeah, where he says it's like buoyant almost in the air. And I'm not sure if that type of movement, like as fluid as it was possible in 1995 VFX editing. So he's saying it just looked too real, too good to be true, especially for it being 1995 and the VFX at the time. I know a lot of movies back then didn't look great, depending on who they had at the time, ILM or different VFX studios. But the technology, I mean, from what he's describing here, looks that crazy. I mean, there's a lot of movies from back then that I think have really good VFX, even before 1995. Um, original Blade Runner, Star Wars, just crazy, crazy things that these people were able to do in films and technology back then. Um, but that's what he's saying. He's just pretty much saying that it looks too good to be true, and that's where he thinks that might be something. Um, but he says, I don't know. Like I said, I just don't have enough information at the moment to confidently release this video unless I can prove that it's something legit. And maybe Bob Lazar can help me. I'm obsessed with UFO technology and aliens, and I just hope I live to see the day where some sort of advancement is made because these things defy physics. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole story. Um, at the moment, of course, because from last week's episode to now, things have completely changed directions with obviously Logan Paul coming out and confirming that he did meet up with this guy, Chuck Clark, and offered 100K for this footage of this UFO on this VHS tape after he had already seen the footage, was denied, records the footage anyway secretly. This guy gets rid of the VHS tape, is what I'll say. He gets rid of it because he doesn't, like he said, give it to someone and it wasn't taken from him. So, how else would you like to describe that? Well, he don't have it no more, but he knows where it's at. And he knows Logan Paul secretly recorded the footage. Now he plans on suing Logan Paul. And Logan Paul is pretty much just buying time, waiting for the right moment, like I said he would. You know, this guy is a social media mind and he wants to get the hype up as much as possible for this footage, like he's doing right now. He's going to try to, maybe he tries to get Bob Lazar on his podcast, which I think would be so cool. I think the more people that come out and get on these bigger platforms, podcasts, and talk about these incidents, it'll only get the ball moving faster in this topic. But I think Logan Paul will release the footage eventually. I just don't know when. Um, I really don't think he's worried about getting sued by this guy, Chuck Clark. Um, hopefully, some more information comes out soon with this because right now, like I said, this thing just took a whole new direction with this guy giving or putting away this footage somewhere where he knows where it's at, but didn't give it to someone, but wasn't taken from him. So stupid. I don't know, y'all. Y'all let me know what y'all think. This whole story's crazy. It'll probably only get crazier from here on out. We just gotta pretty much wait for the footage now. our our fate relies in Logan Paul. As crazy as it sounds, who would have thought that Logan Paul? Who would have thought that Logan Paul would be the guy that the UFO community is all waiting on to give us what we want, and that is release that secret footage as soon as possible. But we'll wait and see. That's all we can do now. Like I said, one of the craziest stories I've heard in a while, and I look forward to see where it goes, and hopefully it could gain some more traction along the way to kind of, like I said, put the pressure on Logan Paul to just release it, or I don't know, who knows, maybe some more information will come out on where exactly this guy decided to put the footage. And I don't know, crazy stuff going on. um yeah, that's pretty much all I got for y'all. um I really wanted to get into this whole thing in this episode. Hopefully next week some more stuff comes out and I'll get into a little bit more on that. If not, um, I have a couple ideas that I want to get into for future episodes of the pod. But thanks for tuning in, for whoever's listening. I I really dig this new mic I got. I think the audio quality sounds a whole lot better from all the previous episodes before it. And I paid $10 for this thing on Amazon, straight up. Um, if you're trying to do a podcast or trying to get some good audio for some sort of video you're trying to record, I'm telling you, this $10, it's like the first wireless Bluetooth mic that pops up for the iPhone on Amazon. It was like $10 with shipping, and it clips on your shirt too. And it sounds like a pro mic. Um, Follow me on Twitch at Admire My Moonsault. I literally just got done. I was playing Jedi Survivor. Still early on in the story, I could tell, but I'm in no rush with this game. I love it so far. With these kind of games, you never really want the story to end, so I'm kind of just taking my time, enjoying the scenery, and loving the gameplay and all that. But follow me on Twitch. Follow me on Instagram at Admire My Moonsault. I'll be posting comic books and variant covers on there. Damn near every day. New releases. I'm trying to upload some more reels with some just video gameplay footage from Jedi Survivor or whatever game I be playing. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Like, comment, subscribe. Y'all have a great rest of y'all's week. Y'all stay safe. And I'll catch y'all on the flip. Peace.